No.
But let's get to Congressman Adam Schiff's powerful defense of his work as chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. Just hours after the president tweeted that Schiff, quote, should be forced to resign from Congress. Think about that.
Yeah, with Devin Nunes, with Cowman sitting next to him, Devin Nunes.
It's a pretty incredible moment, and we want to let it breathe. All 9 Republican members of the Intel Committee used a hearing on Vladimir Putin's election meddling tactics to call on Schiff to step down. You got to watch this. Watch everybody's reaction. Here's a part of that call to step aside, and then Schiff's defiant, forceful defense of why he is pressing on with the committee's Russia investigation.
We have no faith in your ability to discharge your duties in a manner consistent with your constitutional responsibility and urge your immediate resignation as chairman of the committee. Mr. Chairman, this letter is signed by all 9 members of the Republican side of the House, of the committee, and I ask unanimous consent to be entered into the record of today's hearing. I yield back.
Without objection, I'm going to turn to our witnesses who are the subject of the hearing today, but before I do, and as you have chosen, instead of addressing the hearing to simply attack me, consistent with the President's attacks, I do want to respond in this way. My colleagues may think it's okay that the Russians offered dirt on a Democratic candidate for president as part of what was described as the Russian government's effort to help the Trump campaign. You might think that's okay. My colleagues might think it's okay that when that was offered to the son of the president, who had a pivotal role in the campaign, that the president's son did not call the FBI. He did not adamantly refuse that foreign help. No, instead, that son said that he would love the help of the Russians. You might think it's okay that he took that meeting. You might think it's okay that Paul Manafort, the campaign chair, someone with great experience in running campaigns, also took that meeting. You might think it's okay that the president's son-in-law also took that meeting. You might think it's okay that they concealed it from the public. You might think it's okay that their only disappointment after that meeting was that the dirt they received on Hillary Clinton wasn't better. You might think that's okay. You might think it's okay that when it was discovered a year later that they lied about that meeting and said it was about adoptions. You might think it's okay that the president is reported to have helped dictate that lie. You might think that's okay. I don't. You might think it's okay that the campaign chairman of a presidential campaign would offer information about that campaign to a Russian oligarch in exchange for money or debt forgiveness. You might think that's okay. I don't. You might think it's okay that that campaign chairman offered polling data, campaign polling data to someone linked to Russian intelligence. I don't think that's okay. You might think it's okay that the president himself called on Russia to hack his opponent's emails if they were listening. You might think it's okay that later that day, in fact, the Russians attempted to hack a server affiliated with that campaign. I don't think that's okay. You might think that it's okay that the president's son-in-law sought to establish a secret back channel of communications with the Russians through a Russian diplomatic facility. I don't think that's okay. You might think it's okay that an associate of the president made direct contact with the GRU through Guccifer II and WikiLeaks and is considered a hostile intelligence agency. You might think that it's okay a senior campaign official was instructed to reach that associate and find out what that hostile intelligence agency had to say in terms of dirt on his opponent. You might think it's okay that the National Security Advisor designate secretly conferred with a Russian ambassador about undermining U.S. sanctions, and you might think it's okay he lied about it to the FBI. You might say that's all okay. You might say that's just what you need to do to win. But I don't think it's okay. I think it's immoral. I think it's unethical. I think it's unpatriotic. And yes, I think it's corrupt and evidence of collusion. Now, I have always said that the question of whether this amounts to proof of conspiracy was another matter. Whether the special counsel could prove beyond a reasonable doubt the proof of that crime would be up to the special counsel, and I would accept his decision, and I do. He's a good and honorable man, and he is a good prosecutor. But I do not think that conduct, criminal or not, is okay. And the day we do think that's okay is the day we will look back and say that is the day America lost its way. And I will tell you one more thing that is apropos of the hearing today. I don't think it's okay that during a presidential campaign, Mr. Trump sought the Kremlin's help to consummate a real estate deal in Moscow that would make him a fortune. According to the special counsel, hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't think it's okay that he concealed it from the public. I don't think it's okay that he advocated a new and more favorable policy towards the Russians, even as he was seeking the Russians' help, the Kremlin's help to make money. I don't think it's okay that his attorney lied to our committee. There's a different word for that than collusion, and it's called compromise. And that is the subject of our hearing today. Mr. Ambassador, you are recognized for your opening statement. I will not yield. Mr. Ambassador, you
gentlemen, yield because you just made some things about all of us that I think we all should get the opportunity to respond to. If you're going to say we think, you ought to allow us to speak of what we think.
You can use your 5 minutes to speak. You attacked me in your opening statement, and
I have not had an opportunity to respond at all, especially to your statements of what we think, because no one over here thinks that. No one over here. I mean, you cannot speak for us. You cannot speak for us.
Ms. Turner, you're not recognized. Ambassador McFaul, you're recognized.
Oh, my God.
Let me tell
that
you
was
something.
amazing.
San Susan del Percio. That's just what we were saying before.
Yep.
They've overreached. They are trying to defend the indefensible. They are hiding behind Donald Trump's own Roy Cohn, William Barr. Yeah, I said it. Donald Trump's own Roy Cohn, who squeezes together a couple of sentence fragments and puts it in a letter while trying to keep from the American people the Mueller report. And they set themselves up to look like fools every single day.
And there's something also that watching that hearing yesterday that was just so disturbing is, Joe, Devin Nunes destroyed what was the gold standard of what our government is all about. The House Intelligence Committee was supposed to be beyond politics. It was supposed to be about the security of our nation. And what Devin Nunes did to that in 2 years has just created a complete unraveling. And it kind of goes to what Donald Trump has always sought, which is to take down the pillars of our democracy. Now, I was really disappointed when I saw, especially two House members, Republican House members, sign that on to call for Schiff's resignation. Schiff, who, by the way, I don't necessarily agree with a lot on policy, but I do believe he is there trying to restore integrity to the committee. And to see Will Hurd and Elise Stefanik go and sign that letter was really disturbing, because those were two Republicans that I thought had some backbone to them, instead of signing on to that letter, which is nothing more than making this an extreme partisan show. And that is what we have to hold Donald Trump also accountable for. Now, Adam Schiff has a lot of work to do, and we will see we have to see the Mueller report. The Barr memo, I agree, is just not enough, but it is going to take a lot of work to get our country back on track.
Well, and the reason we played Schiff's comments in their entirety is that these are the questions that are being asked. And he shows in plain and simple, beautiful oratory explaining why we have questions. We can be mad at Donald Trump for bullying people. We can be mad at Donald Trump's minions for asking him to step down and not playing fair. They're making fools of themselves. You listen to what Adam Schiff said. Those are the questions that are clear. Those are the questions that are fair, and those are the questions that must be answered.
Well, you know, and Jonathan Capehart, here's the thing. That's just a small slice of what he could have said, what anyone could have said. Like, he didn't even get into the fact that Donald Trump lied repeatedly during the campaign and after the campaign about contacts with Russia. Mike Pence went on a Sunday show in January of 2017 and lied, saying that nobody in the campaign had had any contacts with Russia. Paul Manafort lied about contacts with Russia and is in jail now. The national security advisor, Donald Trump's first national security liar, he lied about his contacts with Russia, had to plead guilty to a felony. The attorney general lied about his contacts with Russia. His son lied about his. I mean, we don't have enough time. And any Republican that thinks that they're standing on a high moral ground here, and I'm going to say any news people that are shaming themselves by tweeting every 3 seconds about no collusion, please stop embarrassing yourself. Please stop humiliating yourself. Because, Jonathan, there is so much bad information here that shows, if not collusion and not conspiracy, it shows compromise. And then all the American people have to do, well, they just have to look at Helsinki. They just have to look at what Donald Trump has said about this guy. He has compromised himself. And people in Michigan, they're smart enough to know that. There's a reason why he's sitting at 31% in Michigan and New Hampshire, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the beautiful thing about what Chairman Schiff did was that he spoke, it seemed like at the beginning of his remarks, extemporaneously. And what he did was basically give what we've been talking about for 2 years now about Special Counsel Mueller doing speaking indictments through the indictments, laying out the story. Right there in a little more than 5 minutes, Chairman Schiff laid out all of the things that we know, all of the things that have been reported, all of the things that we have been talking about and wondering where's Robert Mueller going and how is he going to show the background information on all these things that Chairman Schiff talked about. You might think it's okay is going to be a rallying cry, not just when it comes to Special Counsel Mueller, the report we haven't seen yet, but also to the Republican Party writ large on a whole host of issues outside of Special Counsel Mueller, whether it's defunding the Special Olympics or putting babies in cages and in jail, of separating families, of condoning white supremacy, of not thinking that it's a problem to coddle dictators, whether it's Kim Jong-un in North Korea or sidling up to and being buddy-buddy with Vladimir Putin. And we think we know why that is. You might think it's okay, Republican Party. You know, Joe, I wish that the Republicans could just go back 20 years, maybe even 30 years, to find their moral compass. I don't agree with the Republican Party on a lot of things, but I remember a time when the Republican Party stood for things, and President Trump stands for nothing that the Republican Party I grew up around stands for nothing that they were about.
Absolutely nothing. I mean, I actually got into Congress because I believed in balanced budgets and I believed in responsible spending. We've got a $22 trillion debt right now. We had the highest monthly deficit last month in the history of this great republic. Donald Trump created more of a deficit in 1 month than the United States government had created in any year over its first 200 years of existence. It's just sad. I mean, my party used to believe in free trade. Now they're protectionist. My party used to believe in the Statue of Liberty and what it stood for. Now they're xenophobes. I mean, my party used to believe actually in NATO and defending against the Russian threat. Now, please look at the poll numbers. Vladimir Putin actually is more popular in the Republican Party now than a lot of American figures. I mean, Come on.
Well, Joe, your party used to be against corruption. Did you see those Republicans sitting next to Adam Schiff, listening to his questions? Questions of corruption. Questions where the answers only will lead to some sort of corruption, because there's no good answer for the questions he was raising.
Right.
Did you see those Republicans sitting there, silent, just throwing away their dignity and their commitment to their party, let alone the country?
It was awful, and it was corruption that actually got us Republicans in part in 1994. A corrupt government, the banking scandal. I could do a laundry list of it. And unfortunately, you're exactly right, Mika. You're right. And Jonathan Lemire, it was just such an ugly sight as you looked at the Republican side. It was so depressing as you looked at the Republican side of that lectern, and it's not quite as depressing as the Red Sox last night in Seattle.
Yeah.
I got a question for you on that front.
Oh, good Lord.
Are they going to make us give back our rings by April the 9th? I'm just curious.
You too.
My fear is that, they have a Red Sox open up with this 11-game West Coast road trip, and when we get to the home opener, instead of raising the championship banner, we'll have to raise a white flag, as this season will probably be over before it begins.
Strange
so now that
inside Red Sox joking going on here.
Now that we called them the worst team ever
The most
last
important
year to
issue.
win
Back to the
108 games. Yeah, exactly. So we got that out of the way.
Yeah. Good.
Which means we may actually win tonight, but I did not say that out loud. So you had Donald Trump last night in Michigan. I mean, going full Trump, but he's sitting in a state where a poll came out that shows he's got a 31% reelect. Is that why the president's amping it up even more, or does the president actually think he's in a good position right now?
Well, we're in Palm Beach now with the president, but last night, as you said, we were in Grand Rapids, which his campaign knows that Michigan is one of those states in the Rust Belt that he barely won from the Democrats last time and really needs to put a lot of emphasis on there again. So it's going to be the first of many trips there, and they're aware of his underwater poll numbers. They feel like there's time to right that ship. They talked about a commitment he's making to the Great Lakes and so on. But it was more than that last night. Yes, it was politics in terms of 2020, but more than that, it was an airing of the grievances, and it was a victory lap for this president. Perhaps a premature one, as we've noted, because we haven't seen what's underlying the Mueller report.
Wow.
But that's what it was.
Okay.
That this was an 82-minute rally. He especially opened up with a fiery diatribe against his political foes, including Adam Schiff, who you said, you called him pencil-necked, against the news media, against the Democrats, and basically said to his crowd, which ate it all up, it was very, very loud in there, that, look, they came at me, that this was a treasonous attempt to undermine our democracy, basically painting it as a failed coup. And that he suggested that if the Democrats kept pushing with the House, the investigations, so many of them have launched now, that would be the example of political overreach. And what we saw is what we don't know yet is how this is going to play going forward. Is this just a 1 week or 2 week victory lap where he sort of blows off steam because it's been 2 odd years of this investigation? Is he politically smart here? Does he have the discipline to say to Democrats, look, you had the investigation. Let's put it behind us. Let's work together now on issues like infrastructure, on issues like drug pricing. He gave that about one sentence of his attention last night amid an otherwise lengthy and angry attack on his foes. So it remains to be, though people are...
And Jonathan, it's not just his foes. He's taken on health care.
Yes.
That's absolutely chaotic on the Hill. Republicans are scrambling. Mitch McConnell basically said, I'm not helping you rebrand the Republican Party as the party of health care. Good luck dealing with Nancy Pelosi. I mean, again, even the battle that he's chosen now puts him in political quicksand, doesn't it?
These rallies are often a real good window into what's on the president's mind. And yes, he did mention health care. He said he wants to make the Republican Party the party of health care, which has been his talking point the last few days. But he spent about 4 or 5 minutes on health care when the rest of it was clearly about settling scores over the Russia probe. The White House doesn't have a health care plan. Most Republicans don't want to touch this issue right now. So if the president forges forward, is he going to perhaps squander, which is right now looks like a political win?
All right, everybody stay right there. Still ahead on Morning Joe. Before Devin Nunes was embroiled in a legal battle with a cow, he was overseeing the Intel Committee in strange and unprecedented ways. We'll compare his chairmanship against Adam Schiff's and the radio silence from Republicans when Nunes was running roughshod over the rules. You're watching Morning Joe. We'll be right back.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.